Hey everyone, this is May. Welcome to the May Lee Show. I will confess I was not planning on doing this episode, but I woke up this morning and I started reading the news and I was reminded that today, June 15th, is opening day here in California where I am. And let me explain, if some of you don't know, today California is reopening almost completely since COVID, meaning that those who have been vaccinated, we are now permitted to go without a mask pretty much everywhere, indoor and out, meaning restaurants, gyms, other retail spaces, concerts, indoor and out. So the only exception being mass transit, so airplanes, buses, trains, things like that. Now, again, this is for those who have been vaccinated. So those who have not been vaccinated, you're just supposed to go by the honor system and be truthful. You know, I have my issues with that whole honor code, honor system idea, because we know people lie and they will just, who's to say who has been vaccinated and who hasn't? Because the other problem is there have been no guidelines set across the board to say how you're going to adhere to these new rules, because businesses, how are they going to determine who's been vaccinated, who hasn't been, unless you have some sort of system, which we do not. And we already know that this has caused a lot of conflict, in fact, even death. In Georgia, just the other day, a man went into a store and didn't have his mask on. And so the cashier asked him to please put his mask on properly, and he refused. He left, came back with a gun, and shot the cashier dead. So, I hate to be a pessimist, but we know that this is going to continue happening. We know there's going to continue to be these conflicts between people who, are being asked to do something properly and refuse to do so. So when it comes to vaccinations now, how are we going to determine who is vaccinated and who isn't? Because we have no system in place. So that's number one worry. But here's the bigger worry, and that's why I decided to do this show. The Delta variant of COVID-19 is now spreading like wildfire. All right. The Delta variant is what started in India and was so deadly because it is much stronger. It is much more contagious, right? And so it can spread much faster. So in India, it devastated India. It went to the UK, and now I think 90% of the cases in the UK are now the Delta variant. So much so that Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, decided to delay the UK reopening for another 4 weeks because of the spread of the Delta variant. And now the WHO is saying it's now in 74 countries and growing. So it will become the dominant strain of COVID-19 very, very soon. Here in the US, it's already 10% of cases and growing. Most of those cases are being found in the South, apparently, where the vaccination levels are much lower. Now, okay, so let's get some, details out there. Apparently, experts are saying that so far in the UK, the Pfizer vaccine has been pretty good when it comes to fighting off this new variant. So it's something like 94% foolproof so far. The other vaccines, I don't see any details about how potent they are against this new variant. Okay, so that's a bit of good news for those of us who have been vaccinated to a certain extent, right? But this is not to say that the vaccine will stop you from getting COVID. The reason I say that is because just recently, a vaccinated Oahu resident of Hawaii who traveled to Nevada last month tested positive for the Delta variant of COVID-19. Okay, so she had been vaccinated fully, went to Nevada, and then she contracted the Delta variant. Okay, so that may be a rare case, rare now because the Delta variant is just arriving in the US and starting to spread. So, okay, I know that this is all new and scientists and experts and researchers are trying to keep up. And so I can't blame them for not knowing and just, because this is how it works, right? When there's something new, a new disease, a new unknown, they're constantly having to do the research and getting data. But that's the issue, right? COVID took the world by storm so quickly, and then a vaccine was rolled out so fast in record time without the proper time frame of doing trials. Trials are usually several years, not just a few months. They're just collecting the data. And unfortunately, as the virus mutates, these new variants start, popping up. And so therefore, it creates another layer of research and unknowns for scientists and researchers to look into. So it's almost as if it's like a game of catch up, right? It's like they're constantly trying to catch up with this because the disease, this kind of virus is pretty smart, right? It will know when it's hit a wall, so it will start mutating. And unfortunately, with people refusing to get vaccinated and refusing to kind of follow the rules, it's giving this virus a wonderful host to implant itself, meaning a body, to be able to mutate, to continue mutating, and to continue getting outsmarting us. Outsmarting us, right? And so my concern is that when I see these videos from last night at midnight of clubs in West Hollywood, and there is if you guys want to look it up, there is a club in West Hollywood that did a countdown to midnight last night to start celebrating the opening up of California. And this is a very famous, well-known club. And they're all inside. It is packed with people. It's body to body. And nobody's wearing a mask. And they're all doing a countdown like it's New Year's Eve. And they're celebrating. They're just, whooping it up. I get it. Look, we've been sort of, quarantined and isolated for over a year now. And so people are so eager to get out and start living an open, more normal life again. But it's not over. And I'm just afraid that people are acting as if it is over, like COVID is gone and we've defeated it. We haven't. Again, because of this Delta variant, we have not defeated it. In fact, it's a scary prospect when we look at the opening up of different places and, people really starting to put their guard down and taking their masks off, literally, that it's going to allow for COVID-19 and all the variants to run rampant. And then we get through the summer where people are really, really relaxed and put their guard down, and we get into the fall, and that's when we're going to see more problems. In fact, I believe the Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Scott Gottlieb said recently that this could mean that we're going to see a sharp uptick in infections by the fall, and we could hit a new spike in the epidemic heading into the fall. So that is what concerns me as well. It's a scary prospect when, you want to be able to control this virus and defeat it. But when you see that people are not wanting to do what's right, and when I say that, to get vaccinated and to still play it safe, you kind of wonder, did we go through all of this for nothing if we're just going to throw it all out the window? So that's my biggest fear right now, is that this is nowhere near over. The evidence is right there. We're seeing what's happening around the world with the variant and with even just the original COVID virus, that it still keeps on ebbing and flowing around the world. And when you see countries like Taiwan and Singapore and Vietnam, countries that actually did quite well last year fighting off COVID-19. Their case numbers were very low. Their death toll was extremely low, and they were able to handle it quite well. South Korea also handled it quite well. But then each country has gone through an uptick and had to shut down again and again, and another uptick and another uptick. So when I see countries like that still struggling with COVID and how to deal with it and how to control it, I look at the US and a massive country where, more than half the people still haven't been vaccinated. And we need to get at least 70% people to get vaccinated or who have had it to reach herd immunity. Right now we're at 43%, 44%. We're nowhere near that. And so you combine that, 43%, 44% who have been vaccinated fully. We have to reach 70% at least for herd immunity. And then the Delta variant is 10% of cases here in the US so far, but exponentially growing because it is extremely contagious. And then you have a case of someone who was vaccinated but then tested positive for the Delta variant. See, do you see what I'm saying? The combination is one that should make everyone concerned and should make everyone pause and think about how they want to continue handling their everyday life. Is it worth taking off your mask no matter what and just being like, F everything and it's fine, everything's fine, everything's good? I don't think so. I'm not suggesting that we should live like hermits, again, and never see the light of day. But I certainly, speaking personally, I'm still going to take precautions. Also because I'm a jaded journalist and I'm suspicious of everything and everyone. So I don't trust people. I really don't. I don't trust people will be honest about their situation. I don't trust that they will tell the truth about being vaccinated or not. I don't trust that, the research right now is good enough, because this is an ever evolving situation and rapidly evolving, so that even the WHO and the FDA and the CDC, and all of these organizations, they can't keep up because the information is changing so rapidly, right? And so I'm just going to take it upon myself to be like more cautious, than less. I don't know. I mean, that's all I can say, because, right now we're dealing with so many unknowns. Yeah, and then on top of that, of course, the anti-Asian hate continues. So, it's as if I'm on high alert on all fronts. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. So this, for me, I just wanted people to know about the severity of the variants that are out there, particularly the Delta variant, because this is the one that seems like has experts extremely worried and concerned moving forward. And I will also share some information that I was given out of China, and that is that the Delta variant is definitely a huge concern in China because it's there as well. And apparently China, they're so concerned about this because of what's already happened, that there are stories where even if one person tests positive for the Delta variant in an entire apartment complex, authorities will literally clear out the entire apartment complex and put everyone in quarantine, pretty much bust them out and put them somewhere in quarantine. Now, of course, the Chinese government can do that because that's what you can do when you're a communist regime. And here's one thing I would like to say. For those of us who know what the Chinese Communist government is like and the way in which they conduct business, we're not in support of the Chinese government, all right? We're not. But the Chinese government isn't the Chinese people, okay? There's a difference between the Chinese people and the Chinese government. The problem has been, and this is why the rhetoric is so awful, is that when they talk about the Chinese government, and when I say they, I mean everyone from politicians to, other experts talking about politics and the economy and, policy making, all those things. They're talking about the Chinese government, but unfortunately the rhetoric is they just say China and the Chinese. And that's how that negative rhetoric starts churning around and spreading like wildfire. And then people just say, oh, the Chinese are bad. The Chinese brought the virus. The Chinese are hiding the information. The Chinese aren't telling us the truth. It's the Chinese government. We all know that. That's no secret, okay? So let's separate Chinese government from Chinese people. And of course, separated from just Asians, right? That's why we have this anti-Asian hate all over the world. All right, sorry, I had to get that off my chest. So going back to the Delta variant, so the Chinese government, and this is how they're handling it, they're pretty much just shipping people off to unknown places to try to control the spread of the Delta variant. Well, they can do that in China because of the Chinese government. We certainly can't do that in a free democracy, but a free democracy also allows for people to make their own decisions, whether they're right or wrong. Look, my point being is that it is something that the world is becoming much more concerned with, and we should too, here in the U.S. Yes, on one hand, it's great that California is trying to open back up like they are. But in light of what is happening with the Delta variant and all of the unknowns and knowing people's behavior, I worry. I'm concerned. So there you have it. Let's see. I mean, I hate when people say this. Let's see what happens. But I think that's what we're going to have to do here in California for sure. Let's see what happens. And I'm not sure what the summer will bring. And then I'm not sure what will transpire in the fall and into winter. Hope for the best. Certainly hope for the best. But I am worried. Anyway, I told you that I wasn't planning on doing this episode, but I just felt like this was something that needed to be talked about a little bit. And I highly recommend, for those of you who are listening and watching, do your own research too. Look into the reports about this Delta variant and just educate yourselves a little bit so that you can prepare and at least, make your own decision. Yes, you should trust the doctors and experts and researchers that are, kind of giving the interviews and talking about what the current situation is. But they also don't know fully. And again, I don't blame them because this is an ever-changing situation. So that's why I say you do your own research too. Read the articles out there. There are plenty of them. And there are new reports coming out, just in the last couple of hours about the situation with the Delta variant, okay? Listen, just stay safe. Be cautious. Be careful. I know we all want to get on with things, and we can. We just need to be cautious and careful and get vaccinated, all right? Just do it for your own good, for your family, for your loved ones, and for the rest of society. It's like a civic duty, really, in my eyes. Okay, all right, that's it. Short episode, but hopefully informative. Bye.